Good morning, everybody. So, I'm going to address a question that I get asked quite a lot. And the question is, what is the best Bible translation? And for me, that's not as simple of an answer as people think. I'm first going to address the King James or only King James part of the audience. And the King James version is very good, it's literal poetry. But the problem is, a lot of the words that are used in the King James version are not how we use those words currently with our vernacular English. And it creates a lot of problems that when you see people misquote a Bible, a lot of times they're misquoting uh, from the King James. And they say, oh, this word. But that's not how they use the word when the King James is written. And a lot of times the New King James has not edited that out or made sufficient changes to stop that confusion. So, starting out, I'm going to list a few of my preferred Bible translations, starting with here it is. This is my New American Standard Bible, and I like the New American Standard Bible because it has a high degree of literal translation, almost word for word accuracy compared to the Greek. So if you want a solid word for word translation, the NASB New American Standard Bible is good. Yeah, this one has seen a lot of wear, but it's the New American Standard Bible. Very good literal word for word translation from the Greek. Uh, Next up, it would be the English Standard Version, which is, I have it here, is my English Standard Version. Um, Unfortunately, this one doesn't have bookmarks. It's my own bookmark and tabs, but it's a very good translation. It's highly accurate, and it's not quite as word for word, in my opinion, as the NASB, but it's very good translation. It's very solid on maintaining the biblical text and what the biblical texts say. It's a very solid translation. Might be a little bit easier to read than the NASB because it's very accurate, but it's not as literally word for word that sometimes people can get confused on. When I was in Bible college and even when I went to seminary, they called it the non inspired version because there was a translation of the NIV that was really bad. And recently they made the NIV R like revised or inclusive, where they use weird gender neutral pronouns that aren't in the text and you muddy a lot of it. Even in Genesis, they say like, God made Eve first. It's just awkward and clunky. Uh, the standard NIV that you can find almost everywhere because it's very widely read is a solid translation in helping you get um, basically the spirit, the root of what the text is trying to say. So it's not as literal word for word, um, and it's high in readability. It's it's still a very solid translation. Version I have is let me hold it up. Is what's got all the footnotes. Um, and this is my preferred Bible that I bring to church with me because pastor's reading something and I think, I wonder if that's right. Then I have an easy reference that I can do. So this is the NIV Foundational Study Bible. It's really good. It's easy to read. A lot of pastors preach from the NIV. Piggyback off of this, I have, it's called the Lecto Bible. The Lecto Bible is an NIV translation, but the Lecto Bible's very strong, how should I word this? Like, very strong trait is it's not broken into chapter and verse. If I can hold it up here, it just basically, it's like you're reading a novel. And it tells you what the verses are at the bottom of the page that you're reading through, but doesn't break it down verse to verse. And I really like that. If you want to sit down and feel you're reading a manuscript, you don't have all the breakups of this verse, but you can just read the text through how early Christians would have read the text through. It's a very good It's a very good version of the NIV for that because you get like the intent, the message of the passages without very clunky literal translations. So that's kind of my top four. NASB for literal translation, ESV for literal translation going to readability, Christian Standard Bible going heavily into readability, and then having a very strong foundation on literal translation. And then you have the NIV, which is very easy to read, easy to understand, easy to follow through. And I picked these four, like I said at the beginning, to kind of address the, King James only audience. That there's nothing wrong with the King James version. My issue with the King James version, it's the most misquoted version because the language in it is very antiquated, and people who are not familiar with the Bible will find clobber verses in there and be like, "See, you're not a Christian because of this verse," and and they will pull out a verse, and the way the word is used back in almost Old English, and then in the the New King James Version and KJV, it still has that clunkier language that a lot of times people can get hooked up on. Most people will not engage in a long conversation as you try to explain, like, well, this word means this, people just won't listen. So that's my top four. NASB for literal accuracy, ESV for creating accuracy and readability, CSB for readability, and NIV for the all-around, just everyday Bible that's easy to read. It's used in pulpits all across the nation, and it's a good thing. If you have any questions, comments, critiques, think I'm wrong, leave a comment down below, and then I'll try to respond as many as I can. Have a good day, everybody.